It's Fans Corner. Welcome to it, and thank you for making time for us once again. We are back in the Betway Premiership. We've just watched Supersport United against Kaizer Chiefs out in Polokwane at the Peter Mokaba Stadium, where Supersports won the game by 1-0. And before we go into the game and the results, let's first talk about the crowd and appreciate the people who took their time, their money, and their resources to go to the stadium and pack up the Peter Mokaba Stadium. What an amazing atmosphere. For the second weekend in a row, Supersports versus Kaizer Chiefs picking up the stadium. It's an even better crowd this time around, and we saw the game even being delayed because it was an evening game, well, late afternoon game, basically, not like the late evening game. What an amazing atmosphere. The game had to be delayed by 30 minutes. It was scheduled to start at 5:30, but it ended up starting at 6 o'clock. Because there was just so many people outside the stadium just before kickoff, so they decided to delay it. And I know most of the time we tend to blame the fans for arriving late at the stadium and saying they're delaying the game. But honestly speaking, if we are to compare ourselves against other countries where they also have capacity, the big stadiums like us, we don't have the average South African football lover uses public transport. And let's be honest, South African public transport is not the best. So for that reason, I think I give credit to the crowd still. I can take a delay of 30 minutes. I don't mind that. And actually, I have to credit and applaud the people who actually went to the stadium to watch that particular game and the atmosphere there. It was a brilliant atmosphere. Obviously, as a Kaizer Chiefs fan, getting into the results is not something that really I enjoyed. But yeah, let's get into the game itself. I was taking notes while I was watching this game. The first 15 minutes or so, I saw Kaizer Chiefs doing exactly what they've done in the past 3-4 games. This is a fourth game. The past 3 games, including the Carling knockout, they did exactly the same thing. They start the game with a high pace. They just want to punish in the very first few minutes of the game. And with other games, they were able to do that. The game against AmaZulu being a case in point where they were able to score 3 goals earlier on. I said this in the previous video where in the game between Chiefs and Supersports in the Carling knockout. I said what Kevin Hunt tried to do there was not successful. But had it been successful, Chiefs would have suffered in that game. And that's exactly what happened in this game. He did exactly the same thing. He did what I said. He tried to avoid what he saw at AmaZulu versus Kaizer Chiefs, where Chiefs start very fast, has a high pace of a game. They're attacking. The right and left flanks are just coming through very hard. And he tried to absorb that, and by all means. So Chiefs, if you saw the game, the first 10-15 minutes of the game, you saw Kaizer Chiefs pinning Supersports against the wall. It was more of Chiefs, the first 10-15 minutes, it was Chiefs just pinning Supersports against the wall, attacking at all cost and making sure that they don't give them a chance to breathe. And Kevin Hunt would have been prepared for that, and that's exactly what the Supersports players were prepared for. They knew this was coming, so they were ready to absorb the pressure and settle down into the game and make sure once you settle down into the game, you start frustrating the opposition because they don't know what to do anymore because there's just their plan is not working. And when a team's plan is working, they grow even more confident. Supersports' plan was working, so they grew even more confident. After 20 minutes or so, we started seeing the ball moving between left and right, going to both boxes. It was a box-to-box situation after 20-30 minutes of the game. So that is why I'm saying that the Supersports game plan worked, because if you try to absorb the pressure from Kaizer Chiefs in the first 20 minutes or so, you start gaining confidence of your own. And I have to say that I watched an interview of Kevin Hunt a day before the game. Let me just say a day before the game. For those who are watching this video just after the game, I'm saying yesterday. I watched an interview of Kevin Hunt on a platform called Soccer Beats, if I'm not mistaken. I listened to him discussing Gaston Sirino, and from as soon as I ended listening to that interview of Kevin Hunt, I thought to myself, Chiefs are going to have a problem, because we've seen the past 4 games, the 2 games we won, Gaston Sirino was at the center of that. Without Gaston Sirino, Chiefs would have struggled in both the games that they've already won so far. So Kevin Hunt knew that. Even the game that he lost to Kaizer Chiefs, you saw Gaston Sirino scoring a goal and also providing an assist. So he knows that Gaston Sirino is at the center. But the way he explained in that particular interview, the way he explains Sirino's role, I knew that if he finds a way to neutralize him, it's going to be very difficult for Chiefs. And that's exactly what he did. He made sure Gaston does not get the supply, and his players are studying his movements. He knows Gaston Sirino is always moving. He's always watching the game and reading the game. And he moves when it's time to move. He's not always a player who's running even without the ball. He runs when he has the ball. He runs on the ball most of the time. When he doesn't have the ball, he's probably most of the time scanning through and seeing where is he going to run to when he gets the ball. And that's what Kevin Hunt also noticed, and that's what he was speaking about in that interview that I'm talking about there. So his plan worked perfectly. Isolated Sirino. You've done half of the job is done against Kaizer Chiefs, because so far with the new Chiefs of Nabi, it's centered around Gaston Sirino. You take him out, it's almost game over for Kaizer Chiefs, and that's what Kevin Hunt knew, and that's exactly what he did. The other thing is the chemistry between the young boys, man. Got me worried. Zwane, the first few minutes he had a decent and okay performance, but after that it wasn't a good performance. There were many passes that had they been executed to accuracy, they would have punished Supersports. The passes that he was trying to, I'm talking about Samuel Zwane now, the passes that he was trying to play to Wandile Duba in particular, most of them were overcooked. So I think they have to go work on that together. Zwane and the wingers, especially your Sirino, your Duba as well, together with Zwane, because Zwane knows he's good at spotting the right place to place the ball. Unfortunately, the execution lets him down, because a number of times he would overcook the ball, and he doesn't get his man. There were many of those passes that did not. Many of his passes went out, and there were turnover balls. Supersports, we lost a lot of position through that. So, and especially the ones that when you are playing an aerial ball, you are trying to get an aerial pass. Wandile Duba is not the tallest man on the pitch. He doesn't have the height. If you are going to play it on the right where Duba is going, you have to manage the height of the ball if you're playing an aerial ball. So that's another thing that really cost Chiefs, especially in the first half. Had those passes gone through, Chiefs could have cooked something there, and I think the chemistry is still not up to standard. And now I'm starting to feel that it's going to be a problem going forward for Kaizer Chiefs if this keeps on happening, because these are young boys. And now the pressure will start, because now look, you've played 4 games, you've won 2, you've lost 2. That's 50% win rate. It's not a good return on paper. Okay, so now you see these boys are going to be pressurized. They'll have a lot of pressure now. They're still new. Well, not necessarily new, but this is still a new Kaizer Chiefs, especially under Nabi. So it's going to be a little bit too much for them. The pressure will be too much for them. They're still young. That's my worry. And pressure can either make you or break you. But for a team like Kaizer Chiefs that hasn't won anything in the past 10 years, you don't want to put that kind of pressure on these youngsters. You want to make sure that they come in when the team is not too much under pressure. But some depending on the player, some players actually tend to thrive under pressure. Some players the pressure makes them. But in this case, I think we're flirting with danger a little bit. We saw that especially in the second half when Kaizer Chiefs was trailing, because you saw what the players were doing. Just hitting the ball. Every time they get a chance, they're just hitting shots that were not on target. There was just that one shot on target by Mfundo Villegas. He nailed it spot on, and the goalkeeper was equal to the task. So that's the only one that was accurate and on target. Otherwise, the other shots or by Chiefs, especially the youngsters, were mostly shots out of frustration. It's going to be a challenge going forward for this team. When they score early, it becomes easy. They then start playing their football and it's enjoyable. But when they don't score and out of frustration they start doing the stuff that they were doing in the second half, it doesn't look good on the eye. And I have to complain about Ranga Chivaviru. Ranga has the physique of a striker who can be deadly, but his first touch is probably the worst first touch of the strikers I've seen in the PSL so far. He has the worst first touch. he could be in a very good position and get a very decent or a very good pass. His first touch is probably going to let him down, such that even the position that he has gained, he loses. He will undo all of that from the first touch that he gets. If you could take some qualities from other players and transfer to other ones, I would transfer if you remember the days of Benny McCarthy. Benny McCarthy had a wonderful first touch. So if you could take that and give it to Ranga Chivaviri, he could be a very decent striker. But so far, I'm really complaining about his first touch. It's really killing us as Kaizer Chiefs. I think after everything that I've said and how Kevin Hunt planned for Kaizer Chiefs and how it was easy for him to plan for Kaizer Chiefs, I think Kaizer Chiefs are big. I think we are predictable. It's only been 4 games, but yeah, we were predictable. We knew everyone knows how we are going to play. The first few minutes, we are going to press. We are going to put teams under pressure. If the team can soak the pressure, that's strategy number 1, which Kevin Hunt did so well. Even in the previous game, like I said, I'm repeating again, the previous game we won by 4 goals to 0. That game, the scoreline is very deceiving. The scoreline does not suggest what actually happened in the game. But in this one, we saw. So I think Nabi now will have to find a way to make sure that he is not as predictable as he was today, so that in the other games, teams may not find it so easy to play to plan against him. You see, that's the thing with winning games and losing games. It's easy to see the weaknesses of a team when we're losing games. Okay, like today, we saw a lot of weaknesses from Kaizer Chiefs. Those passes that were overcooked, those first touches from Ranga that were not good, those the chemistry that is just not there yet, and also how predictable Kaizer Chiefs is. But if today we had won, maybe we had scored the goals in the first half and we're leading by 3-0, we wouldn't be talking about these weaknesses. We'd be talking about the good stuff. We're great. But it has to do with when the game plan is working. Sometimes the game plan is not working. Like today, it didn't work because we were predictable. And that's why you ended up having to sub off Sirino early on in the second half to show we're actually conceding defeat, that our game plan is not working. So it's a defeat that I will take. I know when it comes to Kevin Hunt, he's a very difficult coach to play against in a big game that he takes a lead in. If he takes a lead in a big game, Kevin Hunt, you might as well rest assured that he's going to collect the points. I remember it reminded me actually of a game between Chiefs and Sundowns when he was still at Kaizer Chiefs. We didn't expect Chiefs to win the game, but as soon as Chiefs took the lead, I knew that there's no way Sundowns, as good as they were, there was no way they were going to come, because Kevin Hunt is just like that. Once he takes a lead, he knows how to manage the defense. He knows how to manage the game. So that's one of his qualities as a coach, Kevin Hunt. Otherwise, a great game and beautiful atmosphere out in Polokwane. And also thank you guys for making time. Please make sure that you subscribe to the channel and you also like the videos, and also send some comments. We want to hear what you think of the game as well. Otherwise, this has been Fans Corner. Thank you so much for your time. We'll see you again in the next one.